Watching her husband choose his lover right in front of her, the wife finally woke up at that moment. She realized her husband had never loved her and felt that the 3 years she had devoted to him were not worth it. 3 years ago, an accidental one-night stand brought Raymond and Ella together. Raymond married Ella only out of a sense of responsibility. After marriage, he treated Ella with cold indifference. Ella believed that her genuine love and devotion would eventually win her husband's heart, until she discovered a message from Raymond's first love. Only then did she realize that the only one Raymond truly cared about was his first love, Julia. Because Julia had been disabled while saving Raymond, she could only sit in a wheelchair. Out of guilt, Raymond kept taking care of Julia, but he never shared any of his patience with his wife, Ella, and even forbade her from having children. But the truth about that year's accident was different from what it seemed. Ella had once been a world-renowned violinist. She deeply loved Raymond, and when Raymond became a vegetative patient, she refused to abandon him, insisting on playing the violin for him every day. Through Ella's tireless efforts and careful care, Raymond finally woke up, but Julia took credit for Ella's hard work, claiming she was the one who had awakened Raymond. To eliminate any future threats, the cruel Julia drove her car straight into Ella. However, Ella didn't die. She just lost her memory. She forgot that she could play the violin and forgot all her love and hatred. By a twist of fate, she had a one-night stand with Raymond, and later, the two got married. Raymond had no feelings for Ella. Even though she had lost her memory, deep inside, she still loved Raymond. So she quietly cared for him and looked after him, yet never received any affection in return, not even a shred of pity. When Ella's father fell critically ill, Raymond was celebrating Julia's birthday. Ella's father needed a large sum of money to be rescued, but Ella was just a housewife at home. She had to go through Raymond's secretary to use any money. Even her jewelry wasn't under her control. The only thing she could sell was her wedding ring. To save her father, Ella sold her ring. At that moment, she realized how miserable her situation was and decided to leave Raymond. When Raymond returned home, he found that his usually affectionate wife didn't even look at him. Ella was busy packing her things, ready to leave. Raymond wouldn't allow it. He carried her back into the house. Just when Ella was about to give him one last chance, Julia called again, and Raymond left immediately. Ella couldn't help but laugh at herself, then left without looking back. The next morning, Raymond realized his wife had left home, leaving only a divorce agreement. Raymond was furious. He couldn't tolerate anything slipping out of his control. He thought Ella would come back once she ran out of money, not knowing she had already found a job. Ella started working as a waitress at a music restaurant. There, she saw a violin that felt strangely familiar. She didn't know that the violin actually belonged to her. After her car accident and memory loss, the world believed that the famous violinist had mysteriously disappeared. The reason the violin appeared again that day was because the world-renowned maestro Stephen was coming to the restaurant. Stephen was Ella's teacher, and he had been searching for her for years. Raymond and Julia also attended the banquet. When Raymond saw his wife standing next to another man, he became angry and jealous. He grabbed Ella roughly and demanded that she perform the violin in public, even though she supposedly couldn't play. He meant to humiliate her, hoping she would give up and come back home, but Ella would rather be laughed at than submit. When she stood on stage, her musical skills suddenly reawakened. Her performance was graceful and flawless, a true master's level. Most importantly, the melody sounded familiar, exactly like the music Raymond had heard while in a coma. At the entrance, Stephen was also shocked, for he recognized the sound as that of his student, Ella. He was certain he would find her that day and hurried inside. At that moment, Raymond began to suspect that his wife was the one who had saved him. He rushed onto the stage, shaking Ella violently, urging her to remember the past. But whenever Ella tried to recall it, a sharp pain struck her head. She said she couldn't remember and nearly fainted. Julia grew nervous, fearing her secret would be exposed. She persuaded Raymond to send Ella to the hospital, and he reluctantly agreed. When Stephen entered the hall, the music had already stopped. Stephen's other students questioned him, saying he was only hearing things because he missed Ella too much. Even Stephen began to doubt himself. Just then, he saw a familiar figure that looked like Ella. He called out to the person supporting her, but at that very moment, music started playing again. His students urged him to go back inside, and Stephen missed his chance to find Ella. The person now playing the violin was Julia. Julia's skill was mediocre, and neither Stephen nor his students were impressed. She was performing the same piece Ella had just played. Eager to prove that she was the one who had awakened Raymond, Julia deliberately mentioned playing the violin at his bedside, accusing Ella of stealing her story and learning the piece to get Raymond's attention, and the foolish Raymond actually believed her.